On today's episode, Debbie is visiting us for Pierre Lotti Delicate.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome. Welcome back to another exciting episode on the Cupo channel. I am Theo Le Roux, your host, and today my co-host, Debbie. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. So guys, we're taking a next twist on all of this. I want to invite some of you, if you guys want to be on the show, please don't hesitate to ask. We will definitely make some space for you. There's so much coffee to taste. And we're really excited to start playing around with all the different flavors and just taking it out there. Today we're going to start with Pierre Lotti. Now, those of you that are from Pretoria would know him. He's a local roaster. I think he imports himself as well. And he's got 7 different flavors of blends of his own coffee. And as we go along with the coffee, I'll also educate her a bit more. So if you guys have questions about the flavors or what some of the names mean, don't hesitate to ask. So today would be the 100% Pierre coffee, which is the delicate ground. Now I'm not sure if you know what the delicate ground means.
No.
Okay, so if you guys look on the packet over here, there's 3 little cups.
Yep.
So that would be the amount of darkness of the roast. So 1 cup is a light roast, 2 cups is a medium roast, and 3 cups is a dark roast. So I think the reason why they called it the delicate is because they went with a very, very light roast, which should be a nice and fruity flavor. Some nice, good characteristics, especially on the palate. It should be a fairly smooth finish, and this one would obviously have also the most caffeine inside. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think Debbie she's not against caffeine, but she's quite delicate to caffeine.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think this would probably be the one that would be your favorite of all of them, all of the ones that we're going to taste together. And I think let's get into it. If you've got any questions, pop.
Please, definitely. Thank you. Let's go.
Now, all of you guys know, round about 5.5 grams per 100 milliliters of water. The reason why we go with 5.5 grams per 100 mils is 5.5 grams is the international standard for tasting or for cupping, to make sure that all the coffees in the world is tasted or cupped at the same level.
Makes sense.
So let's just, I think I just got myself there. I was just telling her before that I always do something and I go afterwards, or I tell you guys, oh, just hold on a second.
Fun of making coffee and tasting coffee.
Correct. So there goes the first one. I need to first weigh out the coffee. But I can't weigh the coffee if I don't know how much the glass weighs. So there we go. Now it's on a 0. Right, too much out.
So that is?
5.5 grams. It's normally about a spoonful, which makes it fun, but I try and always guess it before I weigh it. Okay, then we add hot water, but not boiling water. The moment you go with boiling water, when it touches the coffee, it burns the coffee, then the coffee goes bitter. So therefore you would want to add sugar, or you wouldn't really experience the coffee in its true essence of the actual roast.
So how long would you wait, plus minus?
I normally wait about 2 hours. I take the hot water. Now, our machines don't do boiling water.
Okay.
The water comes out at about 78 to 85 degrees Celsius. Then once I've poured it in here, I normally wait about 2 minutes. So it goes down to about 65 to 70 degrees Celsius. That's when I'd like to add it to the coffee, because then it's the right temperature to not burn the coffee, yet hot enough to get the elements out.
Okay.
Then you add the water and you let it stand, what we call it, you let it bloom for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. And yes, so the blooming is fairly important. Now I see that this specific roast, or this specific, the delicate, pierre lotti delicate ground, is a fairly rough ground, so it's fairly big grind, which should be interesting. There won't be as much oils in it, which obviously is important because it's a light roast.
Okay.
And you don't want too much oils. The oils is more to push the acidity of the coffee up, which then means that you'll taste more of a sour flavor on the side of your tongue, which is nice if you're into that. Where you've got more of a softer palate, so you would want more of a smoother, softer, more comfy type of coffee.
Definitely.
Which is the reason why this one would have less crema then, which would be more enjoyable for you.
Sure.
Interesting, eh?
I didn't know coffee was so complicated.
Coffee is more of a science when it comes to drinking it. Although we are taught from growing up, that you drink coffee to get your next shot, which is it your phone?
Yeah, don't worry.
No, go for it.
No.
I can edit it out.
No.
Okay.
Go for it.
And I'll sort of leave that in there.
Sorry about that.
So we are taught that you drink coffee to get your next caffeine shot, which I suppose is not wrong, but that's not the reason why you should be drinking coffee. The reason why you should be drinking coffee is to really appreciate the coffee, in its characteristics and its elements and the flavors and the finishes. And so coffee is like wine tasting. Now I know that you've done some wine tastings.
Being a Cape Townian, of course.
Being a Cape Townian, so we've got some of Cape Town here. So David, if you're watching this, I did not steal her from Cape Town. She decided to come out here.
Unfortunately.
Yes, so at the end of the day, it's about really enjoying and appreciating the coffee. That's why we try and educate our followers as much as possible, so that they don't just drink coffee because of drinking coffee, but drinking coffee to really enjoy every single cup without sugar. Because the without sugar is extremely important. Sugar is very, very horrible for you. It's very, very unhealthy. And so we obviously try and motivate people to try and go sugar-free.
Of course.
There are certain things that you don't want to do without sugar. Like, for instance, I like eating pronitro. Mm-hmm. It's horrible without sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
So I go with 1 brown sugar.
Yeah.
So I go the more healthier way, the brown one, and only 1 to get the flavors in there.
Yeah.
It's about 3.5 minutes now. You'll see that most of the grounds have sunk to the bottom. And that would be one of the reasons that it's a more coarser ground. So there's not much floating around. Then important bits is the smells. And that's it's a very soft smell, more sweetish.
Oh, look, it has got a sweet smell.
Yeah, it's got a sweet smell. I would say almost a red berry type of,
Yeah, definitely.
nose. The nose is fairly
yeah.
nice. It's nice and soft. And that would tell me it's going to move more towards the berry flavors than like the apricots and peaches and so on and so forth. So I'm actually quite excited about this. I love the berry coffees. The reason is I like sour stuff, and when I say sour, I mean sour, not as acid.
Okay.
So anything with a strawberry, blueberry, red berry, or blackberry flavor to it, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So by the smell of it,
And it's definitely a berry smell there.
yes, I think I'm going to enjoy this one as well. Although both of them are nice.
Yeah.
But when you go grapes and apricot is more sweeter, where the berries is more sour, which is strange. A lot of people think that strawberries are sweet,
But they're not.
but they're not. They're actually
Yeah,
sour,
yeah.
which is very nice. So, okay, yes. So the nose is important. Then I'm going to ask you to call it break the crust. You'll see on this one there's not much of a crust.
Yeah.
But so put your spoon in, bottom down, twist it around in circles, bring it out the top with the,
Oopsie. Oops,
and
sorry, I'm
then
burning.
smell the back of the spoon now. The smell should be a lot stronger.
Sure. It's completely different.
Now there's more of a tobacco, earthy flavor,
Yeah.
earthy smell.
Definitely, that change is completely different.
Completely,
Smell,
eh?
yeah, completely.
Now the reason why you get that earthiness, or actually smokiness. Smoky, I think, is probably the right word here.
No, yeah. I'm with you there.
Is because of the fact that you obviously roast the bean, so you kind of burn the bean to a point where the protein molecules come together and they start pushing some oils out. Now you'll see there's a small little bit of crema,
Yes.
so that would be like the oils floating at the top. That means it's not a complete light roast. I would say it's a light to medium roast. Where if you go completely light roast, you have very, very little of that. So that smokiness is because they went a little bit darker than the normal roast of light.
I believe it's the same coffee I was smelling earlier on. Sure. Sure.
And then of course the tasting bit. Now most of the Cupo fans have seen me speak on this. I don't think I've told you this before. Oh no, I have. The slurping is very, very important. Now, grandmas, if you're watching this, put your fingers in your ears, because we are going to slurp. But there's no grandmas here, so we're not allowed.
So we're safe.
We're not allowed to not slurp.
Okay.
So the important bit is to grab some of the coffee, slurp it in to get nice oxygen with the coffee over your tongue, to turn on the back of the palate so you can really get the flavors to open up. First sip, you should taste slightly more tobacco and that smokiness, maybe some earthiness. I would say a light soil type of earthiness. And then when you focus on the center of the tongue, you should pick up on the different fruits. Now I've never cupped this before, guys, so I don't know what the flavors are. So let's see what we can discover.
Here goes.
Guys, did you hear that one? I don't think that was a slurp.
Next one will be louder.
That nice tobacco, actually slightly darker soil than I expected,
Definitely tobacco taste.
but definitely tobacco,
Yeah.
which just confirms the fact that it's a slightly darker roast than a complete light one.
Yeah.
So I like their scale. That means the espresso, when we do the espresso, it's going to be really bold and strong. And
I'm looking forward to that one.
okay, so the first sip is just to open the taste receptors. The second slurp is to really get the flavors in there. It should be completely different. There we go. Lots smoother.
Oh, yeah.
Not as strong as the first taste.
Sure. Completely different.
And the finish is very, very smooth. I like the finish on this. It's interesting. Okay. Tip of the tongue. I get a bit of nuts in there. So a bit of nuttiness. So it's got a fairly dry tip of the tongue. And I get some red apple.
We'll try again to get the red apple.
So the red apple, imagine yourself biting into a red apple. It obviously tastes completely different to a green or a yellow apple. It's more of that, it's more of a spiky, touch of sour towards sweet on the tip of the tongue.
Gosh, they're all different tastes, eh?
Yes. But it's a gorgeous flavor.
Gosh,
I like that.
I like it very
start.
much. I didn't know there was so much tasting in coffee, having a cup of coffee. Sure. And the different
It
tastes.
should be enjoyable.
Now I understand why you shouldn't have coffee with milk, so that you can
Or
actually
sugar.
taste it, or even sugar.
Because the moment you add sugar there, you taste no coffee.
Exactly.
You just taste sugar. So now on the next slurp, focus just on the side of the tongue.
On the side of the tongue.
here's something interesting. You know the texture of watermelon?
Yes, yes.
Side of the tongue.
But why is it a completely different texture on the side of your tongue?
Well, because you're focusing there.
Maybe I'm concentrating and actually...
It's all about conscious tasting. So being conscious of what you are tasting at that point in time. Now I've got a very slight... I've actually got a grapefruit mixed with lime, not lemon, lime, on the side of the tongue. So it's not extremely sour, it's more of a bitter sour, but the texture is very similar to watermelon for me.
For you?
Yes.
Sure, I can't believe the difference. But
It's
I
amazing,
like that because I don't like strong coffee, so for me this is perfect.
Correct. Yet more caffeine
But more caffeine
than the rest of
rest
the
to
other ones
come.
that we're going to taste. So now focus purely on the finish. So back of the tongue to the throat. Interesting. I would say about a 3 to 5 smoky, so tobacco type of flavor. It's a smooth finish, yet I'm gonna take the chance, or I'm gonna take the chance of saying I don't think there's Ethiopian in here. It could be maybe some Kenya light roast, maybe some Uganda, maybe some Rwanda, but I'm gonna think there's Brazil in there as well. That would be my guess. Now obviously they don't say what they've got inside, so one day I'll go and visit with Pierre Lotti and I'll try and find out to confirm for you guys what was in there. But I'm going to go with the bitterness, or the finish is more Brazilian, because they got more that stronger tobacco type of flavor. But the fruity flavors in the front is, I don't really pick up on strawberry much, and I don't pick up on the green grape very much, which is more the Ethiopian. So I'm gonna go with slightly more, other African, like Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda type of flavors. Now I do pick up back of my tongue a bit of blackberry, and I think that's the smell, the nose that we had right in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you're picking it up.
The back here.
Yes, it's actually scented to back. Like it gives you that sweetish, but then it goes out to a sour bitter flavor to the back of the tongue.
Yeah.
Which is, I would rate that a good coffee.
Yeah, definitely.
Out of 100, I would definitely give that a 91, 92. That's a nice, delicate, nice Americano type of coffee.
Yeah.
It's one that one can enjoy, just sipping, no milk, no sugar, and enjoy the linger in the back of the throat. Like, I think that could stay there for about 20 minutes. So the linger is basically the aftertaste for how long you can still taste the coffee after you had it. And I would say there's about a 20-minute linger. I think that should stay in my mouth about 15 to 20 minutes.
That's very, very nice. I enjoy that.
So guys, that was the delicate Lotti. Hopefully soon we can go and visit the roastery and we can confirm maybe some of the regions inside some of these coffees. But yes, Debs, thank you very, very much for joining us for the delicate tasting. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Cheers.